Because of a forbidden love, he was sentenced by the church to crusade in the Holy Land for 20 years. His beloved fiancée was imprisoned in a convent, where she gave birth to his child but was ruthlessly taken away before she could even see his face. 20 years later, he had become a legendary knight feared throughout the Holy Land. But when he finally returned after enduring untold hardships, she had long since been broken by the torture of their enemies. This is an epic tale of love, faith, and redemption. The story begins in the Holy Land in 1187. In a desolate desert, a caravan is being pursued by bandits. Just as their lives hang by a thread, a knight Templar clad in a red cross tunic descends like a god from the heavens. He possesses extraordinary skill. Fighting one against many, he effortlessly dispatches all the bandits. The shaken merchants recognize this powerful warrior as the legendary figure known among the Muslims as the Red Cross Devil, Arn Magnusson. This is our protagonist, Arn. That night, Arn sits around a campfire with the rescued merchants. The leader, named Yusuf, is multilingual and possesses an extraordinary air.
Then you will understand that I do not wish to be indebted to a Christian.
He admits he dislikes owing a debt to a Christian, but Arn's integrity wins his respect.
Wala taqtulu an-nafsa
Allati harrama Allahu illa bil-haq. Sadaqallahu.
After a candid conversation, Yusuf sends his men away and reveals his true identity to Arn.
Utrukna. Do you know who I am?
You are Yusuf Salahuddin Ayyubi, the one we know as Saladin.
He is no ordinary merchant, but the Muslim leader, Saladin. Arn is not surprised, for he had already seen through the man's disguise.
And you do not wish to return home?
Saladin is curious why Arn does not wish to go home. Arn's eyes instantly dim as his thoughts drift back to his distant homeland. Time rewinds to years prior in Sweden. Arn's lover, Cecilia, is treated cruelly in a convent. The Mother Superior, Rakisa, a woman with a heart of vipers, orders her to be bled frequently in an attempt to torture her to death. Even more heinous is that when Cecilia gives birth to her and Arn's child in agony, Rakisa calls it an abomination and orders the infant to be forcibly taken away. Cecilia watches helplessly as her child is snatched, letting out a heart-wrenching scream. The source of this tragedy traces back to Arn's childhood. Arn was sickly from a young age. To save his life, his parents dedicated him to God and sent him to a monastery to be raised. Here, he met two mentors who would change his life. Father Henri taught him knowledge and faith, but it was the Templar, Brother Gilbert, who discovered his amazing talent for combat. Brother Gilbert not only taught him to read and write, but also passed on everything he knew of archery and swordsmanship.
To read is the foundation of all knowledge.
You seem to be training him to be a warrior.
I am merely strengthening the skills that God has already given him.
He told Arn that this was not to make him a killer, but to strengthen the talents God had bestowed upon him. By chance, Arn heard Cecilia's moving singing voice outside the monastery and experienced the first stirrings of love. Upon reaching adulthood, his mentors believed Arn should not be confined there and decided to let him return to his family.
The time has come for you to go home, Arn. You must go back to your family.
Before his departure, Brother Gilbert gifted Arn the sword he once wielded in the Holy Land, warning him that the sword was to serve God and must never be drawn for anger or personal desire.
You may never try it in anger or use it for your own gain. It has to serve God's good cause.
Returning to his hometown, Arn arrived just as his family was in a standoff overland with their blood rivals, the Ulfbane clan.
Far?
On.
At the council, his father Magnus intended to settle the dispute with gold, but the opposition, instigated by the king, publicly humiliated Magnus and his children.
Jag är villig att lösa ut Emund Ullbane för 30 silvermynt. För freden mellan grannar är mer värd.
Förlikningen är fullgod. Men det är tungt
Att silver går före heder och rätt.
Du är ingen man.
Och med dina söner är det inte bättre. 2 tikvalpar, den ena nunna och den andra en öltunna.
According to the laws of the time, public humiliation could only be washed away by a duel.
Men giver någon okvädingsord åt annan så kräver lagen en tvekamp.
Jag möter honom imorgon.
His elderly father prepared to accept the challenge, but at the last moment before the duel began, Arn stepped forward.
Låt kämparna stiga fram! On!
He would defend the family honor in his father's place. The opponent, seeing his youth, mocked him as a nun come to die. However, once the duel began, Arn's exquisite swordsmanship astonished everyone. He defeated the arrogant opponent. Amidst the crowd's chants to kill him, Arn remembered his mentor's teachings and ultimately only severed the man's hand, sparing his life. This battle brought Arn great fame and led to his reunion with Cecilia, the very girl who had sung outside the monastery. Cecilia had long given her heart to this hero who saved her family. The two chased each other on horseback through the woods, their affection growing.
Du har tagit mitt hjärta. Du har tagit mitt hjärta med en enda blick.
Jag tror du har tagit mitt. Arn. Jag vill inte ha någon svärkers man. Jag vill vara din, Arn.
The two young people quickly fell in love and privately pledged themselves to one another. But their love was fraught with danger due to the vortex of family politics.
Vad hände?
Jag har talat med Argot. Han säger att du försvann med hans yngsta dotter. Hon är lovad till en svärkersman.
Cecilia had already been betrothed to the hostile Sverker clan. This romance was destined to exact a heavy price.
Argot kan inte ge sin dotter till en av kungens fiende.
A more fatal blow came from within. Cecilia confided the secret that she loved Arn and was pregnant to her sister Katarina.
Jag bär hans barn.
Katarina, consumed by resentment that she was to grow old in a convent while her sister found happiness, turned around and informed Mother Superior Rikisa, who was in league with the Sverker clan. She fabricated a vicious lie, claiming that Arn had also had carnal relations with her before uniting with Cecilia. This lie was like a sharp blade that utterly destroyed Arn and Cecilia's future. The church was furious. The bishop declared before the crowd that for a man to possess 2 sisters was an unforgivable sin. Arn and Cecilia were excommunicated and sentenced to serve 20 years in their respective monasteries to atone for their sins.
Från denna dag är de bannlysta. De döms till tukt och botgörelse i Vanhems och Gudhems kloster i ett halvt liv.
Cecilia!
In their final moment of parting, Arn desperately explained that he had never touched her sister and swore a solemn oath.
Jag svär att jag ska hämta dig härifrån.
Jag ska vänta på dig. Nej, jag vill inte!
Thus, a perfect couple was torn apart. Cecilia was taken back to the hellish Gudum convent. Mother Superior Rikisa humiliated her in every way, vowing to tame her will.
Se på mig. Ska nog kuva dig, Cecilia Argotsdotter.
But you will not stay here at Varnum. And he has agreed to our request. Under the name of Undergothia, you will journey first to Rome, and from there to the Holy Land.
Meanwhile, Arn embarked on the long journey to the Holy Land to become a warrior of God. Over 20 long years, the two began their respective penance. In the Holy Land, Arn grew into a distinguished knight, though he gained a deeper understanding of the cruelty of war. His encounters with Saladin were as both enemy and friend, with mutual respect.
أهلا وسهلا بك. You will lose this war. You know that. But because you have saved my life, I will be merciful. without giving battle.
My duty is to protect Jerusalem.
At the Battle of Montcassar, Arn used his familiarity with the terrain and extraordinary courage to set an ambush.
A sandstorm will soon be upon us.
We'll wait in ambush here. It's a godsend. Saladin will be taken by surprise.
Using a sandstorm as cover, he led a smaller force to a great victory over Saladin's army. This battle spread his fame far and wide. Grandmaster Toroja granted him honorary discharge papers, promising he could return home once his term of service ended. Meanwhile, in the convent, Cecilia was not alone. She befriended the future queen, Blanca, who was also imprisoned there.
Cecilia. Jag vet vem du är. Du är inte ensam längre.
From Blanca, she learned for the first time that her son, Magnus, was alive and being raised by Arn's family, named Magnus in honor of Arn's father.
Är det någon som vet något?
De anar inget hört. Men lille Magnus mår bra.
Magnus?
Din son.
This news made her ecstatic and gave her the courage to live on.
Knut Eriksson här över kronan. Jag ska föra dig till Kungsborgen. Du är drottning snart.
Cecilia. Han kommer tillbaka.
Shortly after, the wicked Mother Superior Rikisa fell terminally ill. On her deathbed, she confessed her crimes to Cecilia, hoping for forgiveness, only to be coldly told by Cecilia,
Hindra din nån Magnussons lycka. Jag ville straffa dig för att jag själv inte fick känna kärlek. Kan du förlåta mig?
Bara Gud kan förlåta dig.
only God can forgive you. Rikisa uttered a vicious curse in her despair. However, the gears of fate did not stop turning. The Knights Templar welcomed a new Grand Master, the arrogant Rydefort. He ignored Arn's warnings and insisted on leading the dehydrated and exhausted army across the desert to actively challenge Saladin.
We have the true cross, de Gothia. Under it, no Christian army has ever been defeated. Or do you doubt the power of the true cross? You will obey my orders.
Arn's service term was ending, and he produced his discharge papers, but Rydefort tore them up and threatened to treat him as a deserter.
The day after tomorrow, my time here is due.
My penance is over. Departure. You're free to leave. But if you leave, you will leave as a deserter.
We raise our tent here. Fire! Fire!
Ultimately, the battle known as the Horns of Hattin ended in a disastrous defeat for the Christians. Arn, critically wounded, fell on a battlefield strewn with corpses. When he awoke, he found himself in Damascus. The one who saved him was none other than Saladin. Saladin had captured Jerusalem, but heeding Arn's advice, he chose mercy over revenge.
Salamu alaykum ayyuha al-malik.
أيها الخصم الجدير بالإهترام. I have Jerusalem in my hand. The Christians killed everyone when they took the holy city.
If you choose the path of revenge, the Christians will come back in greater numbers than ever, and the war will never end.
You speak wisely, Al-Ghuti. It may be that one day we could share this great city. It is time for you to return home and keep your promise.
To repay Arn's kindness and wisdom, he released Arn, allowing him to return to his homeland with a dream of peace. At the same time, Cecilia's 20-year sentence had ended. She refused the appointment to become the new Mother Superior and chose to go to the royal palace to wait for the fiancé she had been parted from for 20 years.
Blanka. Magnus.
Mor.
However, what awaited her was terrible news, brought by a messenger from the Sverker clan.
Säg mig, vem är drottningens väninna?
Jag är Cecilia Algotsdotter.
Det är min mor du talar om.
Ser du det, min gosse? Och var är din far någonstans?
Han är tempelriddare i det heliga landet.
Jerusalem har fallit. Tempelriddarna blev slaktade som hundar. De dog. Allihop.
Jerusalem had fallen, and the Knights Templar were annihilated. You lie. Cecilia's son, Magnus, roared in anger, but the hope in his heart was nearly shattered. Cecilia, in utter despair, decided to return to the convent to end her days. But just as she stepped into the convent, a familiar figure appeared before her. It was Arn. He had returned. 20 years of waiting, 20 years of longing, melted into a tight embrace in that moment. Arn finally met his son, Magnus, whom he had never seen. The family was finally reunited. They built their own home, thinking a happy life was just beginning. However, peace was short-lived. The king fell critically ill, and the Sverker clan colluded with the Danish army, intending to usurp the throne.
Det är ett fint hem du har byggt till dig och din vackra fru.
Har du något att säga så framför det nu utan att sitta av?
Skogarna i Västra Götaland är inte så säkra längre. Särskilt inte nu när er kung Knut ligger för döden. Han kommer inte kunna hålla tronen på Visingsö så länge till.
Arn knew that having just escaped one war, he had to throw himself into another. He used the tactics learned in the Holy Land to begin training Swedish farmers and soldiers, preparing to face the powerful Danish cavalry. The decisive battle arrived. Arn delivered a rousing speech before the fight.
Tro! Tro på vår seger! Tro! Gud är med den som står fast I tron.
The battle began. The Danish cavalry charged arrogantly, only to fall into the archery traps meticulously laid by Arn. After several volleys, the enemy ranks were in chaos. Arn seized the moment and led the cavalry in an all-out charge. After a brutal slaughter, the Swedish army secured the final victory. Arn rode back to his home, where Cecilia and the villagers were waiting anxiously. He held his beloved tightly, whispering, "I will never leave you again." But by then, he had already been wounded by a hidden arrow fired by the enemy. The hero's life had reached its end. With his dying breath, he used the last of his strength to say, "I love you." Arn used his life to buy long-lasting peace for Sweden, drawing a period to a life filled with both suffering and glory.